Hey guys, welcome back to the BMW Blog YouTube channel and welcome to Palm Springs, California. After my day with the BMW 7 Series and the new i7, today I'm going for a drive with a 2023 BMW X7 M60i. Some of you might recall my previous X7 videos. It was just a few weeks ago when I went to South Carolina to first sample the X7 facelift, but now it's time to get reacquainted with the X7 and especially with the BMW M60i. So this review might be a little bit shorter than my usual reviews, but I'm going to touch on some of the main points once again on the X7. So let's start right away with the design. As you've seen in all the previous photos and videos, brand new design on the facelift. It looks more like a new car than just a small life cycle impulse. And that starts at the front. Split headlights, a first on an X7. Of course, it retains the same large kidney grille. It's only the outer edge that has been changed just a little bit to make it look a little bit smaller, even though it is not. Split headlights, daytime running lights at the top, headlamps right below that. You've seen that on the new 7 Series as well, and that seems to be the trend right now with the upper class BMW models. Of course, being an X7 M60i, the first of its kind replacing the M50i, the front fascia has been redesigned too, so the bumper is quite aggressive in styling right now and very dynamic, really large air intakes, lots of functional air vents for the cooling that's needed for the engine under the hood. Speaking of the engine, brand new S68 4.4 liter. This is an engine made by the M Division. So if you recall, most of the new BMW engines, gasoline, they start with a B, and that means it's a BMW AG engine available for production series BMWs, but anything with an S in front, that denotes an M car. So this is actually the first time that BMW decided to include a full M engine into a non-M car. Of course, it's still an M Light model, as they call it, because it's the M Performance X7, but it is not a full-fledged M model. So quite interesting that BMW decided to give this refreshed X7 a proper motorsport engine from the M Division. Power output, 523 horsepower and 553 pounds-feet of torque, enough to take you from 0 to 60, 62 miles per hour, anywhere from 4.3 to 4.5 seconds. That's extremely fast for a car of this size. You've seen my previous video, I've had a chance to really push the car, and despite being quite heavy and quite large, it's still a lot of fun to drive. But of course, the X7, it's not about straight line performance or cornering and all of that, and it can do that. I'm going to show you in this video as well, but it's more about comfort and interior space and all the amenities that a family that needs an X7 would actually need. So space inside, same as the previous model, no changes there, and of course it can sit 6 or 7 people. So if you go for the captain chairs in the second row, then you have seating for 6. Of course, you can pick the bench and then you have 7 seats available. Absolutely no change compared to the pre-facelift model. Cargo space, as you'd expect in an X7, a lot more than in the X5. Of course, you can fold down the seats and really expand that cargo space to fit a lot of things, even furniture. I've had a chance to really actually use the X7 to move some furniture around, and it was quite capable of doing that. I didn't really need to buy a pickup truck. Of course, some of the design changes took place inside, and you will notice immediately this large curved display. It is powered by iDrive 8. Really no surprise there. Most of the new BMWs are moving towards this large curved display and of course towards iDrive 8. Highly configurable infotainment system, so you can really dig deep into the features and customize anything you want on the screen. Plenty of tiles to move around and configure and shortcuts and so on and so forth. The only downside of this new implementation of the large curve display and also the iDrive 8 is the fact that BMW decided to remove the physical buttons. No surprise there, I've been talking about that quite a bit lately, but it's one of those things that you might dislike at first because now you have to control the ASIC functions from within the digital screen. So no more physical buttons here. They're quite useful in older BMWs. I'm not sure if they will return. I've asked BMW around, and they said that this is kind of where the direction of design is moving in the entire industry. Another cool thing in the car is really this light bar implementation right here. It's not only serving as an ambient light, but it also incorporates the air vents, so it gives the car a very, very clean look up front. Speaking of a clean look, of course, As you can see right here, the beefy gear shifter is gone and it has been replaced by this rocker switch right here. Again, no surprise there. You've seen it in the iX, the new 7 Series, and other BMWs as well, like the refresh 3 Series. iDrive knob, still there, of course, small in size. Other than that, M Sport steering wheel, of course, because it's an M performance car, no surprise there. M Sport seats, always nice to see in a BMW, of course. Perforated leather, really smooth, really high quality leather, and there are a lot of options when it comes to upholsteries, including a vegan option. I didn't have a chance to sample today the back seat, but I've done it before, so you've seen that video as well. I'm going to leave a link in the description below, but clearly there is plenty of room in the second row for any passenger, even on the taller side. I'm quite tall, 6 feet 2 inches. And I've had plenty of space with both the captain seats configuration, but also with the normal bench. Now, when it comes to the third row, when I've showed that demo as well, it is a little bit tighter for somebody that's as tall as I am. But clearly, if you travel with kids or people on the shorter side, then you should have no problem fitting a couple of, smaller adults in there or some kids. So naturally, it's still a 7-seater. But if you have the third row up, you will lose a lot of the cargo space. So essentially, if you want to prioritize cargo space over how many passengers you travel with, then you always have the option to either lower the rear bench or moving up. The car, of course, comes with all the latest driver assistant features and reverse parking and parking professional features. You've seen that across the entire lineup, but of course it's always worth mentioning this car is capable of level 2 and 2+ capabilities, and what I mean by that is it comes with functions like the highway exit assistant or highway assist, where you can basically drive hands-free up to 40 miles per hour right now, but in the future the X7 will probably be upgraded just like the 7 Series to go up to 85 miles per hour fully hands-free. I mentioned the highway exit assist, where you can basically confirm via the signal on the left side, and the car will actually start moving from the furthest lane to the closest to the exit, and it will do the exit for you basically. Of course, lane departure warnings are available, lane keep assist, distance control, so on and so forth. Really, it's the same system that's been used across multiple new BMWs. Naturally, the BMW X7 comes with an air suspension, as you would expect in a car of this size, and especially because it needs to be quite comfortable over longer distances. It's a family car in the end, so it kind of needs to ride on very plush and configurable suspension. So speaking about being configurable, of course, it comes with an adaptive suspension, so you can change between the different driving modes. So really no surprises there. It starts from Eco Pro, Comfort, and Sport. I've explained that before, but briefly, Eco Pro is the most efficient mode. Clearly, Comfort will give you the most comfortable ride, especially for longer distance driving, and Sport, which I'm gonna switch into right now. You might be able to actually hear the extra sound coming from the engine by just simply switching to Sport. It enhances not only the throttle mapping, but also the suspension, the steering, and of course the transmission as well. So the car becomes a lot sharper, a lot more direct to drive, and of course a lot more fun. Speaking of the engine, once again, V8 4.4 liter, you can hear the sound. It's got a really nice twin turbo sound that we love to see in a BMW. With the V12 being gone, of course, the V8 is the biggest displacement that you can get in a BMW car, and we're truly hopeful that BMW will continue to produce cars with this V8 for quite some time. They are shifting towards electrification more and more every year, and especially past 2025. But there is hope that some certain models will continue to have the V8 even close to 2030, if not past that. So this might be your chance really to own a piece of BMW's history and still have a proper V8 engine in a car. And as you can see, the car is actually quite fast with this engine. Of course, it takes a little bit of time for that RPM band to build up for the torque and for the power, but once it does, then you're really able to push the car quite fast. Of course, you can downshift and upshift via the shift pedals. Always fun to do that. Naturally, it works best when you're traveling by yourself and you don't have kids with you, so you don't get them car sick. I'm gonna go for a quick stretch of curvy roads, tight bands here around Palm Springs, so you're gonna have a chance to really see what the car can do. Of course, I expect to see some body roll. It's expected because the car sits quite high actually, and it's quite heavy, so no surprises there. But as I can feel immediately, especially in the sport mode, the car is extremely sharp. The steering response is very precise, might be a little bit numb in the comfort mode, but once you switch into sport, it's actually got decent feedback coming from the road. And we keep talking about decent feedback and all of that, but once again, really, it's just the journalists that really care about that. Normal customers don't really buy an X7 to compare the feedback response and precision of the steering in normal driving. Cornering is actually quite fun on these tight bands. Of course, it comes with rear steering and the active integral steering, you know, anti-roll stabilizers and all these goodies that really help in a car that's quite large. Of course, some of those features are not only meant to help you drive fast or have some fun on some tight bands, but they're also really there for your comfort. So even in city driving, you will fully take advantage of all these features. Even when you go slow, the car becomes easier to maneuver. It becomes a lot more comfortable to ride in the back. And of course, the overall driving experience is more plush, softer, and that's something that you would expect to see in a family SUV. So here is cornering a little bit here. I mean, despite being quite heavy, it's actually a lot of fun. This is a really tight band here. M Sport brakes, of course, always nice to see them in a BMW because they make a huge difference if you need to stop quickly. You see, even the body roll right now, it's actually not too bad. I mean, I can barely feel it. Of course, I'm in Sport Plus, but you can see it's actually quite fun to do this. I mean, keep in mind, this is an extremely heavy car. It's not the heaviest the BMW offers, that's the XM, but it is still one of the heaviest in their lineup. I'm not sure if it's heavier than the 7 Series or not. I'm gonna have to look it up, but nonetheless, a lot of fun to drive, especially when you get some proper roads. You can see here a really nice turn. So this is the nice part about those BMW SUVs. Of course, the brand has been criticized when they first came out with the X5 over 20 years ago, and basically everybody said, well, you know, you're the ultimate driving machine, you're not supposed to build crossovers, trucks, whatever they were called back then, SUVs. But BMW proved over time that they can still build some proper sports cars, even though they might come in the shape of an SUV. So today, we're all used to seeing, you know, crossovers in everybody's lineup, from BMW to Audi to Porsche to Mercedes, of course. But one of the things that BMW does really well when it comes to their SUVs, and of course maybe some other brands as well, it's really that they emphasize the driving experience in their SUVs. So it's not always easy to combine sportiness, comfort, luxury, and also packing the car with the latest and greatest tech in a single product. But I don't really envy the engineers in Munich, because every 5 to 7 years they have to come up with a new product, they have to enhance the previous one, and it gets harder and harder to actually do that, because some of these cars are so good that there are very few things that you can still improve. Of course, you can always play with the suspension settings a little bit and the mapping and all of that, but overall there is very little that you can do. Yet they still managed to improve this one, and this is just a facelift, really. It's not even the full refreshed X7, which will come probably in 3-4 years. So once again, going some of those really tight bands here. You can see they're extremely fun. I'm actually quite excited because I don't get to drive like this in Chicago. It's a pretty flat town, really no elevations there, so it's kind of boring to test any car there. So every time I come to California, I truly enjoy going on some of those mountain roads where you can really feel what the car can do. So of course, some of you might be wondering, should I buy an X5 or an X7? And I've talked about this before. Of course, the X5 will be the sportier car, but it will also be the smaller car. So if you want to prioritize driving dynamics over comfort and space, then of course you would always pick the X5, especially since next year BMW will have an X5 M60i. But of course, if you want to prioritize space, comfort, and a very luxurious car, then the X7 will be the choice for you, and I'll probably pick the X7 for that reason over the X5. Clearly, both cars are really good at what they try to do, and this is why they're both really popular across the globe. The one interesting thing about the car is also the fact that it really doesn't bring a lot of outdoor noise. So It's actually extremely isolated from the outside, even though I'm running on 22-inch wheels, really large wheels, but there is not a lot of road noise coming in. So I can tell that BMW is really putting some work on trying to make sure that inside the car you're not getting too much noise and that it makes for a perfect road companion. Dynamic handling package, as you've seen in the videos, it's quite nice to have, especially when trying to cornering hard and going fast. It does make the X7 feel a lot smaller than it actually is. There is nothing else to say about the BMW X7. It is a solid product. It doesn't surprise me that it sells so well in the United States. Wait times for BMWs is quite long these days, but even before that, the X7s were selling like hotcakes. So BMW had no problem moving them off the dealer's lots. I'm assuming right now the lead time to getting an X7 is quite long due to all the shortages that we've seen in the last couple of years. So once again, this is the BMW X7 facelift M60i. A big refresh for BMW, a lot bigger than the usual life cycle impulse, or as we call them, facelifts. So if you have a chance to sample the car, feel free to head over to your local dealership. Hopefully they have a demo car that you can try and not only get behind the wheel of the X7 M60i, but also try the X7 40i, because that car also comes with a really nice engine, the B58 3.0 liter. So the X7 X-Drive 40i, it is a solid product. It is their best-selling X7 actually. So I've had a chance to drive that car too, and I came back impressed as well, especially because I truly love that engine. Amenity-wise, it comes really with the same things that you will find in the X7 M60i. Of course, this one is a little bit more aggressive when it comes to the body style, but nonetheless, you're not losing much. So, with that being said, let me know in the comments below if you would splurge for an X7 M60i or you go just for the basic, not really basic, but 40i, and let me know which one is your choice. And for now, thanks for watching, guys. As always, I appreciate the support. Please subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next video.